Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Ferris, Executive Director of the UNC Lineberger Comprehensive Cancer Center, and also Chief of Oncology Clinical Services at the UNC Health System. Squamous cell carcinomas of the head and neck are the most common type of head and neck cancer. Squamous cells form the lining of the mouth, throat, and voice box, and these cells are about 10 or 20 as a sheet, 10 or 20 cells thick. And basically form a protective barrier of the mouth and throat and tongue and voice box in the mucosal lining of the head and neck. And when they become malignant, they turn into cancerous tumors. Several different causes may lead to the transformation of those squamous cells into a squamous cell carcinoma. The most common and historically frequent is tobacco and alcohol exposure, which cause alterations in the DNA. Those mutations lead to oncogenes and malignant transformation. About 3 decades ago, we began to recognize that human papillomavirus can also activate some of those oncogenes and lead to another form of squamous cell carcinomas of the head and neck, driven by human papillomavirus, or HPV. And we've known for decades that HPV can cause anogenital cancers, the most frequent being cervical carcinoma. There is not a good screening for HPV positive or HPV negative, the tobacco and alcohol carcinogen-induced cancers. But these are the main 2 types in Western countries. Squamous cell carcinoma of the nasopharynx, the way back part of the nasal cavity, can be caused by another virus called Epstein-Barr virus that's pretty much restricted to Southeast Asia. So of the 2 viruses, HPV tends to cause about half of the squamous cell carcinomas of the head and neck in Western countries. The other half in Western countries, as I mentioned, is heavy tobacco and alcohol use. The overall prevalence of squamous cell carcinomas of the head and neck, it's about the 6th or 7th most common in the US, and it's about 50,000 cases per year in the US, about 500,000 cases worldwide. And in fact, head and neck squamous cell carcinoma is the number 1 or 2 most prevalent cancer in India, where they chew on betel nut, betel quid, which has carcinogenic inflammatory features, and they chew on it and put it in their cheek, in the buccal membrane, and that's where the cancers are caused in India. So in the US, we have seen a rising incidence of head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, primarily due to the human papillomavirus subset, which has increased 300% over the past few decades. Fortunately, tobacco cessation efforts have been successful with public health interventions and have gone down to where it's about 15% of adults. But that has been overcome by the rapid increase in HPV positive caused squamous cell carcinomas, so that it's really offset the public health benefits in really transitioning from an HPV negative subset of head and neck cancers, which used to be 80 to 90%, and now that's down to about half, with the rest being made up by HPV positive. Now, the HPV positive subset of head and neck squamous cell carcinomas occur in a specific subset, a location of the head and neck that is the tonsil and the base of the tongue. So the front part of the mouth is typically HPV negative. The middle portion, the tonsil and the base of the tongue, is where the HPV positive cancers arise. And then even further down in the throat, where the vocal cords and the voice box, that again becomes HPV negative. Those are the tobacco carcinogen-induced cancers.